You said you had a jumping off point, so.
I've been thinking about something lately. So I think I've told you that I rode my bike across the country.
Yes. You started in Washington?
Started in Washington, ended in New York City.
Over the course of 3 weeks?
50 days. It took 50 days. And
I give you a lot more credit than you just
we'll call it 3 weeks, but yeah, it was 50 days. And crazy enough, we just the other day hit the 10-year anniversary of finishing the ride.
Wow.
So this weekend,
that's awesome.
Those guys and I got together on a video chat, and we were just chatting about like just reminiscing and stuff like that.
How many did you do it with?
So there were 4 other riders. So 5 of us rode, and then we had a van driver, a support van driver.
Cool.
And it was when I was in college. It was awesome. So that's the jumping off point, is when I look back on it, I'm like, that was such an incubator of learning. Like I've never learned more in a single like project or thing than that.
Yeah.
Until Trash Panda. Right? And I wonder if you have the similarity with like what you're doing in the sense that it's just like, I guess the thought process I was having today was, how will I feel 10 years from now looking back on today?
Yeah. Do you think that there are parallels with that? Because that was such like a compressed time period. Like that's 50 days. This is indefinite. Like you talked last episode about like, you want to make it past 15 because no one makes it past 15, or like a quarter of businesses or whatever.
Years. Yeah.
Like how do you see those two interplaying? I'm also very intrigued about what you learned in those 50 days that was like so monumental in that compressed time period.
I think this thing is just a bunch of 50 days combined. You know what I mean? Like every project is its own, like the garage phase was its own thing.
Yeah. And
then like the first warehouse, the second warehouse, the third warehouse. Right. So like I have a bunch of those things, or like different projects of like bringing manufacturing in house or different things like that. So there's, on one hand, yes, it was a limited project.
Yeah.
Kind of like this pod.
Yeah, there you go.
But on another hand, it was, what I'm doing now is just, it's such an incubator. I just look like, I can't help, I don't know if you feel this, but so there's this, this moment where Doctor Strange smacks Spider-Man and Spider-Man like falls outside of himself.
Is this in the second, like,
no idea
which movie is this? Because
there's Tom Holland's
there's
Spider-Man.
one that I think that's the only one that I haven't watched in that series that I've been like, I need to watch it with my wife, and we just haven't got around to it.
I just have these moments where I feel like I'm outside myself, just looking at myself going, like I'll be in the thick of a problem and I'll be like, man, I'm learning so much right now. And normally you'd think it's just pain in the problem, but I feel like I'm just like, oh man, I'm learning so much. So I don't know. I think 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever it is, I think in hindsight, I will look back on this similar to how I look back on that 50 days. Because the 50 days felt long, especially when you're young. Like 50 days feels like an eternity.
Yeah.
Where now, like maybe 5 years feels more like 50 days did then. But
do you think that it'll be more of, you're looking at the time, like the time period of like conception to making the first garage disc, and then the time that you brought manufacturing in house, and then the time that you bought a mold, and then like, are all these kind of different time periods, or do you think you'll see it as one big thing?
My wife always says that I have a really bad memory, and I don't think I have a bad memory, but I'm starting to believe her more and more each day. I hope she's not watching. I hope there's no one saying, when I look back on those 50 days, like we were together as friends just talking about the 50 days, and everyone was bringing up stories. I'm like, forgot about that. And I'm sure I brought up stories that they had forgotten about. Yeah. But I think the same will be true for like the last 5 years. I don't want to forget anything, but I'm sure I will forget.
I'm sure you've already
everything.
forgot.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one, you asked about what I learned in that.
Yeah.
And I think it really comes down to like how jack of all trades it was. We had to fund the ride across the country. So we had to be financially stable as a group of friends doing this thing. We were also raising money for charity. So we were doing it for a larger mission, which meant marketing and telling a story. We also had to train physically to be able to ride across the country. Yeah. And we had to X, Y, and Z, you name it, planning logistics like a van and all the stops and stuff like that. So I think it was the most business thing I'd done at that point. And now this is the most business thing I've done at this point. You know what I mean? Like, surely you look back on like your first channel and you see these like through lines, even though they're so different with the channel now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the things I heard from that too, that I really noticed about you is like the mission of it all. That is like, I think so important to like who you are, of like, we're riding across the country versus we're riding across the country and we're also raising money for charity. And it's like, I'm making discs. I'm making this. And I'm also trying to make it in a more sustainable way so that people get plastic and it's healthier for the environment.
I can't do something and not have a purpose behind it. I think my dad was a pastor. I think just being raised with that, like there's no world in which I can connect. I can't clock in and clock out. I'm not wired that way. But I do wonder, is that millennial of me? Like, is that just how we're becoming now, you know?
I don't know. I don't think it's that generalizable. I don't think that's the right word, but
it's gotta be.
Yeah. I don't think, it's definitely interesting. I've been thinking a lot over the last month or so. I've been like pretty depressed for the last like bit of time, and it's like a multitude of factors, but I think a part of it actually ties in with exactly what you're talking about, in like partially the mission of it, but also the learning. And everything that you were talking about there and everything you're talking about here, all I think about is like being so present in the moment. It's like that time period. I've thought about like when I've done things that have been like bigger projects, or like I lived in Indonesia and Sumatra for a semester, my second semester of college, living with people who don't speak any English. And I was like with them, with a partner for part of it. And like, all I remember from most of that, for like at least the first half, was like you're just so present, and then something happened and things changed a little bit, but there's still like just this presentness that you feel. And I noticed that in what you said, and I noticed that in like, whenever I felt that feeling of like being able to take myself out of it, you feel like, it almost feels like that's not a present thing to do, but I feel like it's almost one of the most present things that you can do.
It's more. Yeah, it feels
because
more.
you're almost like in the meta present, which is, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I've been thinking a lot about that recently, because I think a big part of, and why this ties into what I was saying, was I think like the depression that I've been feeling, it has been a lot because, one, this is the most like fuzzy I've ever felt in terms of looking forward and like having a mission or a vision for like the business side of things.
Interesting.
And then it's also fuzzier because the timetables are so much larger for the personal stuff, and it's colliding in such a way that like I feel like I have less control than I've ever had before. Just in like having a daughter, and now my wife is working and her work's picking up, and now I'm focusing more on like more childcare than the work side of things, but that's all going to change in 5 months. And I'm someone who very much tends to live in the future sometimes. And so I'm looking and almost like was trying to live as if things had already changed, instead of just like being present with where everything is. And the last like 2 or 3 months have like, as the goal of like the pro disc golf goal that we talked about, and like trying to focus on being a pro athlete for a time, has been stripped away. There's been like so much like just stripping away of different points of like ego and points of like living in the future, that I think like what you're talking about, I relate to it, but kind of almost on the opposite. Like it's like the other side of the same coin. Yeah. Whereas like, it's like what you're saying is like where I would be if things weren't, I don't know exactly how to say this, but I like feel like we're living, it's almost like in Stranger Things, how you have like the upside down. Yeah. I feel like I'm living in the upside down of what you're talking about right now.
Interesting.
Which is like, it's the same, but it's like not. And it's like darker and weirder, and like, I'm like more struggling monsters through it in other ways, because I've experienced what you're talking about before. And there are so many parallels to like how life has been for me recently, but it's like the opposite. I was actually thinking about that a lot on the drive here. So it's kind of funny that, because even our conversation that we had just before you got on the podcast was similar, where it's like, yeah, I feel like you're so tired because there's so much going on, and like there's so much that like you're working on it, and I'm so tired, but I feel like there's nothing up here, and I'm like, it feels vacant, and I haven't felt that before in the business world at all.
Can we dig in?
Yeah, 100%.
What do you mean fuzzy? What like feels fuzzy to you?
Oh, man. There's almost nothing that feels like concrete right now to me. And I've always had like a goal, and I go after the goal, and almost always I get the goal. And like, I think a part of the difficulty is like, and I've been decent at like pivoting from goals, but to have something that's very public and very large, and then like it's not like I'm not ever going to go after it again, but I've never been in a place. It's always black and white for me. Typically, it's like I have this goal, I'm going to go after the goal. I get the goal, I don't get the goal, and I completely adjust my life and change and pursue something else.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I like wanted to be a pro and like be one of the best, and my life is like in making disc golf content and like pursuing that in a sense. And I don't, if I've ever like either not hit a goal or like chosen something else, it's always been like, okay, we're dropping this and we're moving on.
Yeah.
And like now, like I'm trying to learn how to still want to like pursue playing disc golf and having fun doing that, but just have like a more well-rounded life. I think because I've lived in such like a binary of like a black and white, like we talked about like switches and dimmers last time. It's always been like one thing. And now I can't have one thing, because the one thing would be my daughter and my family.
Yep.
But there's like a bunch of other things that I want to do as well. And so trying to like learn how to navigate not just one thing is like making everything fuzzy, because it almost feels more like there's like branching categories that can go in front of me, and they all interweave, and I have to figure out how that interplays instead of just like a straight line with blinders on, because that's always how it's been for me.
So if pro was North Star, what is the North Star in the disc golf world for you?
I don't think that the disc golf world is the North Star for me anymore. And I don't know if there is a North Star in the disc golf world for me.
But disc golf is life.
Yeah, I don't really know if there is a like this is life thing for me right now. I'm in kind of a place where I'm exploring different hobbies and things, and disc golf is still very important. But I mean, family to me is life right now. It's by far the most important thing. I feel like I've always had a like main thing that I've been pursuing, and it's always been a pursuit. And I think this is where like my fuzziness and everything is coming in, because pursuits are so black and white. Like everything feels so binary. Like last time we talked about like switches and dimmers, where like I'm like a switches person. I need it to be on or off.
And you're almost in a dimmer moment.
That's
where disc golf has to be a dimmer.
Yeah.
And that's not your personality.
And I think it's hard because almost everything has to be a dimmer. And there's also like, there's no more of like this pursuit. Like I want, and that's maybe going to be more helpful in my pro career, because I still want to like, I want to tour and play more events next year than I played this year in disc golf. But I also like have other channels and other like business things that I want to do, even though the disc golf channel is my most important. But ultimately the most important thing to me right now is like raising my daughter, especially in these next 5 months, since we're in July right now, being a good husband to my wife as she finishes out working through this year. And we're both trying to raise our daughter, and she's growing up, so she has more needs for entertainment and everything. And it's hard because I've always had like the one thing that I've pursued, and now like family's kind of that, but there are always like goals and timelines. Like it's like, okay, I want to get my first YouTube channel monetized. Okay, now I want to get this channel monetized. Now I want to be full-time. Now I want a sponsorship. Now I want to cash on the pro tour. Now I want to get a tour card.
Yeah.
And like these are all like very tangible goals. Like one thing I'm like big learning is there's no real tangible goals for like my daughter Sylvia. It's like you just raise her and you try to do the best you can, and trying to do the best you can has never been something that I've been good at. I've always tried to get somewhere. And one of the things I'm learning a lot this year, and like it's very hard for me, and I've run away from it for a while and I think that's part of the reason why I've been feeling a lot of depression recently. It's part of the reason why I've taken like weeks off from posting, and just like I just can't get into it. Yeah. It is like I have to like try to just live life like in the present, like we were talking about, in the day-to-day, not pursuing anything. And I've never done that before. And or not pursuing any like big tangible North Star goal, because the North Star is more like a value system than a goal. Like it's more of like, who do I want to become? But you will always be becoming that, and that goalpost will always be shifting. And it's never been like something that I've been okay with. Not because like I'm not okay with it, but because like there's always something to actually attain towards. And that's so easy to grasp onto for me. And that's exactly how my brain works. Or maybe it's how my brain has worked. And maybe there's like, that can change. I do have a growth mindset, so I believe it can change, but that's what's so hard about it. Cause like nothing right now is life except for family and value. It's a really weird place, and I don't fully understand it. So I'm just like yapping.
Yeah. It reminds me of when like my wife and I will have like a weekend off, and I'm like, what do you want to do? And she's like, nothing. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to do this project, and I'm going to go on a run, and I'm going to do this thing, because doing is a form of rest to me. And I need to be like doing something. It almost feels in some way like that. Like if you're not like, you almost need to know that you're progressing towards a goal as far as the completionist mindset. But I think you're just in a moment of having to shift that mindset specifically for your daughter, in the sense that like, if you're going to complete one thing, it's going to be it's going to be family, and complete is not going to mean what it used to mean for you. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I think thinking about it as complete is just like, there's nothing, like I think about it and I try to figure out, okay, what's the goal? And if you look at my notes app, like there's goals galore, there's ideas galore, there's everything. And I just draw a blank. If I think about like, okay, what's the goal with this? And like part of it's, and I think what the goal has become, which is actually really bad for me as a new parent, has become getting through the day, or getting to the end of the year so that we can move. And like Carissa will leave her job and I can work more. Like these have been like the goals, but those goals are things that are guaranteed to happen. Because time will pass anyways. Like no matter what happens, time is going to pass. And so like making the goal something that's like inevitable to happen, and then setting my focus on that makes me like live so far in the future, or like, and it's like, okay, I just want to get done with this. Okay. My shift with Sylvia today ends at 1:00. So like, let's make sure we get there, rather than like today was like, I was trying to be more present, even though it's like the most tired I've been in forever. And we just like were playing with blocks and just like watching her learn and like pick things. And like, that's the most like present and like alive I felt in a long time. And there's just no like goal to get to. And I think what you were talking about with like your weekend is like what I aspire to be. But because I have been in this place of like, I have to have this goal, and the goal has been something that's like, the time will get there. And like, I'm looking at the end of the year and like trying to just get there basically. I almost like wait, and waiting has turned into like watching videos and playing games, not like doing something productive, or like practicing disc golf, or like just going and enjoying myself outdoors, or like I have these other hobbies that I'm doing, and honestly editing videos and making stuff. I'm just like waiting to get there. And I think I need to learn the art of like either working without a goal just to get better, or setting very small incremental goals and like working up towards getting them. I don't know what the answer is, but and when I look at it too, the person who has like a maintenance mindset of like, okay, I want to be fit and I want to have these 3 YouTube channels or 4 that I have in my head that I wanted to do, and that I have videos filmed and ideas and stuff for, and who is a good father and a good husband, and who likes to go camping and all these things, like that person is not like always pursuing this big goal. And when I see like the person who I want to become, it's like doing all these things in pockets of time. And he also like has more time to practice disc golf, because he just like does stuff instead of waiting on a time period and like setting his eyes so far in the future on this goal that that's the only thing that's in my mind. And so I don't think like the answer is finding a new goal. I think the answer is almost shifting that mindset to be more conducive to a life that I want to live.
I mean, I would guess that I'm arguably the worst person you could talk to about this, because I'm such a 150% one thing. Like, you can ask all of my friends and family and my friends I don't have anymore, and it's just because I just dive into the one thing. And it's like when people ask me in my life now, like, what's going on? It's like Trash Panda. They're like, cool, what else? I'm like, Trash Panda. They're like, nice, what are your hobbies? I'm like, Trash Panda. It's like, that's it.
Yeah.
And my wife and I have talked about that. Like, we don't want kids, so that part is fine. But even if we had like a fixer-upper, like I've talked about how I'm down to have a fixer-upper now after Trash Panda, but I couldn't do it during.
Yeah.
Because I need, like, I'm all in on this thing. And I think we talked about the pendulum last time. We talked about the switches and the dimmers. And I think ultimately the sweet spot's in the middle somewhere. And maybe, dude, maybe Sylvia's forcing you to shift that definition in a way you never would have on your own.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think forcing is, I think that I like that term, kind of, because
helping.
Yeah, well, I think it's much more forceful than helping.
Yeah, true.
But it's like, it's like I have agency in it, but it's like something is. It's like almost like the escalator. Like if I'm standing still, I'm actually I don't know. I think my mindset is almost the opposite. I'm a very contrarian person, and so I just like I'm fighting against it, and going back to like being like childlike sometimes is like if I'm just, or maybe it's just like having ADHD and like watching screens and playing games to pass the time. It's like those things can take precedence, and then I'm not really changing my mindset or working on it. But it's more so like I just have to allow it to guide me, which is going to be a much harder process than just like doing nothing and allowing myself to be distracted by whatever. But if I will like allow this process to work on me of like being a parent, and almost the North Star being like just be the best parent that I can, because that like thinking about that, it encapsulates so much, because that's not just like giving all my attention to Sylvia.
For sure.
It's so like, what do I want to teach her? Who do I want to be that she can learn like outdoorsmanship, and she can learn hard work, and like these are all things that I need to embody in order to do that. And so that North Star maybe becomes that, and that's like the goal. But that's such a like that. When I think about doing that in my head, I don't know why, but I feel like in my head there's this timeline, and I see a calendar, and like it feels far away. And when I think about the North Star being the best parent that I can be, it brings that like focus into the present day, because it's things that I'm doing today, not just like waiting to move, because it'll make my work life easier. And so that like I think you're right that it is kind of the mix of the dimmers and the switches.
Dude, I also think it's like you and I grew up very black and white, and you're just in the gray right now.
Yeah.
And like, welcome to real life. It's not black and white. Yeah. And you just gotta like kind of find your footing in there and be okay with that, because it's probably like even the I might be biased in this because of Trash Panda, and I feel like I'm doing what I was meant to do right now. Like I genuinely feel that way, and I'm so grateful for that. So this might be coming from a biased place of like my outlook on life, but I think a lot about playing an infinite game as opposed to a finite game.
I saw that book on your shelf. What's it about?
Yeah. It's basically I continue to recommend it to so many people. I think the entire industry of disc golf needs to read the book. The infinite game is contrasted to a finite game. So a finite game is a clear winner and loser. Like basketball, there's a clear winner and loser. Disc golf, in a tournament, there's a clear winner and a loser.
That's like, to me, when you say that, my brain is like, that is right. Yeah. You know what I mean?
What about marriage? Is there a clear winner and loser in marriage?
Not if you have a good one.
And then what about business? A lot of people think the answer is yes. But that book kind of puts business on an infinite landscape and says, this is a game we play that goes beyond ourselves. And I feel like I'm playing that. Like I've thought about this since day one of Trash Panda. A single-use plastic water bottle will like degrade in 450 years. And I'm like, I just want to make sure disc golf is still happening in 450 years. I just want to make sure people are still playing disc golf in 450 years. That goes so far past, like, I think it's James Cameron who did like the Avatar movies, and didn't he do like Titanic or?
I'm not the movie person to ask about anything.
Rough day in the comment section if not. Anyway, he was working or is working on bringing the woolly mammoth back to life. And the process of doing that is going to take like combining DNA with like an elephant's DNA. So like woolly mammoth DNA that was frozen in like Siberia, combining that with an elephant's DNA, and then years in the sense of like, I remember when he started the project talking about how he's like, this will be completed beyond me. A more historic version of that story would be like the people who built cathedrals, right? It was their sons and grandsons and grandsons' grandsons who finished the cathedral. They just started it. And thinking of that is like, I don't know. I think I feel more comfortable in that space, as opposed to, my wife has always like said that I'm competitive, and I've always been like, I'm not competitive. And after reading that book, I was like, oh, that's how I'm competitive, because I'm not. If we play disc golf and you beat me and you played your best and I played my best, I don't care. But I care if I know I didn't play my best. Yeah. That's all I care about. I'm only competing against myself.
Have you always thought like that?
I don't know how to answer that question, because you know, when you think back to how you thought as like a teenager, like, did I think, you know? So what I would say though is I never deeply connected with sports. I deeply connected.
My question is on a slightly different level. It's more, regardless of if you've always felt like that, how have you developed that? Because the way that you're talking is like the way that I want to be, but it is almost antithetical to how contrarian and how single-minded I can be. And I'm interested in how you develop that, if there were any.
Yeah, I mean, last time I think we talked about how, like, there's certain things about the business that almost like we just talked about being forced with the kid. It's like the business has forced I'm so focused today on this problem that I need to solve. And like in the landscape of the company, it's meaningless. It's such a thing right now, but once we zoom out, it has nothing at this moment, or in the grand scheme of whatever. So I look at like, dude, so much of Trash Bin, I've been so stressed about certain problems that no one will ever know about because they're nothing burgers, right? Yeah. So I think it was probably forced onto me, but I do think going back that like I never really connected with sports in a way that like the competitor does. The like true, like, I want to win. I don't know if I've ever felt that I want to win, but I've always felt that I want to do my best. Like, and that's almost how I've defined win.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does make sense.
And that's like in terms of family, like maybe that's where it's at, is like, it's not about the win. 'Cause like, as far as Trash Panda goes, I'm chasing an unknown goal. I mean, the vision is to grow the sport sustainably, and we're chasing that vision. But in terms of a finish line for me, I don't know what that looks like. I just know that like, I wanted to throw recycled plastic before Trash Panda, and I want to make sure people can do it after me. Yeah. So like, that's the goal, but like, what does completing that look like? I don't know. Yeah. And maybe there's just something about that that's like, it's okay to not know, even though that the dude who grew up super black and white had to define everything. I needed to know what that end goal was.
I think that's where I'm still living in that hard. Like, it's funny. I feel like my best self in like the man I want to be, I'm not going to say it's the opposite of who I am, because that's not true. Because like, there's much of who I am that I want to.
It's the right side up version of the upside down version of yourself.
Yeah, though. Because I think, like, to me, it's always been like, I want to win. I don't care if I play my best. I want to win. Yeah. Like, but that's not who I want to be. That's just how I am right now. Yeah. And I don't think that's something that's just like ingrained in me, because it's not all like, it's funny. You were talking about like danger. I can pretty vividly remember and how I would think. And I was more like that before. And I think, I don't know exactly what has developed into this or why it's developed this specific way, but there's so much like unlearning that I'm having to go through in just like it being almost zero sum, or it being about the goal rather than the process and like the intrapersonal result, like who I change to be. Because I think that's part of the reason why it's hard for me sometimes to just like continue working when it's like difficult to do so, because I'm just so results oriented.
Yeah.
And I want to be process oriented. It's funny because in my notes, sometimes I'll have like these thoughts that I think one of the things that I'm planning on doing that I was hoping to have like started before we talk about this. So hopefully next podcast we can check back in and it'll be done. But I want to like journal a lot, because I think there's so much obviously that's in my brain that is hard to get out. And just being able to not even care about like writing well, but like just ripping through journals just to get it all out there is something that I haven't done since like I was like really heavy in the church, like just doing that as a teenager, like all the way up and through high school. And there's so much from that I wish I continue to do now, that I just don't. And I'm trying to find like what are the best parts of me that I've known before, and what are things that I can add to who I am that I haven't known. But one of the things that I've written down that I want to use as a prompt is, and I almost like made it the name or the mantra of another channel, the other channel that I have that's just like my name right now, but it's like better, not best. Because when I think about that, I think about me versus the results. Because if I think about best, it's about, to me, that's not like the best version of myself. To me, best is like
better
the best
than everyone
peers.
else.
Yeah. But better is so intrapersonal. So only about me. That's like, if and that means that if I'm fifth and I'm better, but I'm still fifth, that's still a win. If I'm second and I'm better and I get to first, great. If I'm first, then I can still want to be better. Whereas like to me, it's like if I get to like the best place or a comfortable place, I don't care about improving as much. And that's not like I want to care about it, but it's not something that's like intrinsic in me right now, which I don't think is necessarily true. I think I just get complacent and go to the easy thing, which is like screens for me, rather than like doing the harder work of like actually just getting better. Even though the minuscule times that I do that, those are the best times for me and the most enjoyable on a more like deep level. But I think, the way that you're talking is like so much of like who I want to become, but it is just not who I am. And I think there's good things from how I interact with the world, but I want to figure out what those are, keep them, and then figure out how to expand out well.
Have you ever used the like grayscale feature on iPhones?
Yes.
Dude, I've been using it lately, and it's just like, it makes life so boring on a phone. And it's so good because it's just like, on the weekend, I'm similar, like where it's like, I'll just naturally go to my phone or something. And if I set it in grayscale, I'm just like, I go to my phone and it immediately signals to me, hey, do you want to do this right now?
Yeah. Because
I'll click on the YouTube app and see what videos have come up recently. And it's just the most boring thumbnails in the world because they're all black and white.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so helpful. So, I mean, I know we've been talking a lot about black and white in this podcast, but like, you know, the black and white feature on the phone, it's so good. I feel like,
I've tried a lot of those like tips, tricks and things, but unfortunately, it's like a deeper level. I think in the part before behind the scenes, we had to cut a little bit because we lost recording a little.
And then I got a nosebleed.
Yeah. We talked about my trip to Indonesia, right? Before that?
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure. Do you know my trip to Indonesia? Did we talk about that before it cut? No?
I think it was after.
Okay. Well, I don't think that this is like the full reason for like the screen stuff, but I never had a problem with it until something like like a major problem in the same way that I do now at all. Like I would use screens and I would enjoy them, but I think they became a crutch when I was living in Sumatra for 4 months for a semester, my second year of college. Long story short, I went with someone also from school, and they ended up drowning while we saved a couple children from a riptide who were like the kids of the people that we were there with. And so like I was swimming to and from shore, and he kept one on his shoulder and saved his life, but he lost his. And then from then on, like I actually we went and did 2 weeks of like immediate trauma counseling in Singapore. And then I went back and wanted to like finish the semester out.
Yeah.
And like, I'm very glad I did. But it was like easy from that. Like it was easy to like stay up a little later than the host family that I was with. And it was funny. I was watching a lot of like MMA fights cause it was what was on the TV.
Yeah.
And just like would watch for like more hours than I've ever watched anything. And then like I got back home and was like lonelier. And I think that's kind of what sparked a lot of this. And I don't think that it's necessarily like, I don't hold trauma from that moment anymore. It's very sad and I like miss him. And I did a little more counseling for it. But ultimately what that comes back to is I think screens turn into like this deeper level coping mechanism for me, having ADHD as well and being more predisposed to like the cheap dopamine that you get from playing games or watching videos, and then them being the best coping mechanism to just like not feel things has been so easy to continue that. And that was, I mean, I was 18 when I did that.
Dang.
So it's been 9 years. And no, I think I turned 19 actually right before that. But it's been like 8 or 9 years, and it's something that I don't think, like, I've processed through the events, but I don't think I've processed through healthy like coping, not from trauma necessarily, but it's just like it's the confluence of factors that I think it makes it that, because I've tried all like the tips, tricks, like literally anything that anyone's ever said, I've done all of it, and it's like and it always like just kind of comes back up, and it's always like after it's been like a little bit of a tiring day and I have a good morning and a good afternoon, and then evening comes around and it's just like I'm tired, and so it's like, okay, I could do this, but like I don't think it's on the same level at all. But I was thinking about it on the drive over here, almost similar to how I would imagine, since I don't know, and this is not the same, but I would imagine it's how like an alcoholic views alcohol, where it's like it's a very exciting thing for them, but it also is like detrimental. Like I would imagine that it's like so tempting,
for sure,
but like also they know what is going to happen if it happens. And so it's definitely not on the same level as that. It's not as destructive to me, but I look at like, I think about like the basically just like doom scrolling screen time, or like doom watching screen time, as like, when I think about it, like my brain like lights up, like my amygdala's like, yes, we want this, like this is exciting. And so I don't think that goes away from like the tips and trips. Not that like you were saying that, but that's more just to say, I think it comes back to like connecting with myself on a different level, because things like that, like they like stunt you in like a specific time frame. At least parts of me, I think, are still like very childlike, not in ways that I like. Some are in ways that I like, and I want to keep those. But
I feel like we're very similar in like always have a podcast on, always have something playing. But you mentioned Vivaldi earlier. How are you just like being by yourself?
I actually really like it. I'm a very introverted person, and not having anything on is always the part of the day that I look back on the best. If I just have classical music on, or even just nothing at all and I'm just doing things. I always come out of those times, and it's becoming more and more frequent. So I think like, I'm hoping that's a good trajectory, but I always come out of those as like, this is the best part of my day, not having something on. I listen to my own thoughts. I don't let others intrude. And I know like, oh, this is how I want to be most of the time. And so it's like not that problem. I think it's just like it's just like such a deep craving that I'm so bad at saying no to, that it's so easy to just go back to it. It's not like I don't feel like there's anything that I need to drown out right now. I think it's just like something that is like so enticing to my brain that it like has to do it all the time. I don't think I'll have like withdrawals or anything if I don't, but it's just so hard for me to say no all the time.
I mean, dude, there has to be similarities like you talked about with like in terms of
I mean, I do have an addictive personality, like as it is. Very grateful that I have like any of the really big bad stuff I don't partake in, but like I see it in myself, because my dad also has a very addictive personality, and so that helped me steer away from some of the bigger things. But it's just
that's how I am too. Like my brother told me I had an addictive personality early on, and like trash pan is here in large part thanks to that statement.
Yeah.
Because I looked back on my life when I realized I wanted to start something and was like, what's been the longest addiction? Genuinely, I was just like, what's been the hobby that's lasted the longest? Because like at the time I was really into running, I was really into biking. I'm still into those things, but like, what's been the thing that lasted through? And like growing up, we would skate and play disc golf, and skating lasted for my brother and disc golf lasted for me. And so that was kind of the thing I looked at. And then there was like a unique problem I wanted to solve, because I always thought like, where's the recycled plastic? So it just kind of worked out. Yeah. But I think there's like some moments in life that are like a random statement said, offhanded. Like my dad, one time he had like this little like pipe stand, and he had some pipes on it. And I dropped one, and I was like, and it broke. I went to him and I was like, Dad, I'm so sorry. Like this happened. And I think he made it in college or something. And he just went like, I don't care. All good. And I was like, I just learned more in that moment from my dad than any lesson he probably, there were probably moments throughout my life where he's like, I'm going to teach Jesse a lesson right now. And he tried to teach me a lesson. And I just didn't learn anything. But in that moment when he probably wasn't thinking, I'm going to teach him a lesson, I feel like I learned so much. Yeah. And I feel like there's these fleeting moments or statements that happen in life where, like my brother calling me an addictive hobbyist, and it has impacted like a trajectory. I feel like you're just like in a moment, dude, I can't help but feel like that pulling out of yourself and looking at yourself. Like, I feel like you're in a moment that you're going to look back on as like right now is an incubator of sorts. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's funny that you made that comment about like the pulling back on yourself when you're talking about that. 'Cause I don't exactly remember the road, but 2.5 miles from here, I remember like thinking that exact phrase as I was driving here to talk with you today. 'Cause I feel it very similar, where it's like everything is like a jumbled mess, but I like to take a step back a little and try to picture it. And it's like so foggy. Yeah. It's like just not at all clear, but I also like, I'm maybe just too much of an eternal optimist, but I know that this moment is like tricky, and I also feel like I've been in it forever, even though my daughter's not even a year old. And much of this has come up in the last 3 months as I've like transitioned from like having the singular goal to where I am now. And I think I'm already in a much better place for my family, but I also I have more question marks now than I've ever had in my life that have no answers to them. At least like in my adult life that I remember. Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right. And I don't know where it will go or what it will look like, but I am excited about it. And I'm hoping that the through point in all of it is being a process person rather than like, where am I going to get to? Because it's so like, my inclination is to be like, okay, where is this going? Where am I going to get to? Yeah. But like the person that I want to become is the person that I think I almost closer resonate with right now. Which is just like, who am I going to be on the other side of this? Yeah. What is this going to look like? And like, it's easy for me saying that to latch onto the other side of this part and not the who am I going to become, because there's a lot of difficulty that comes with becoming that person versus just like, let's just see where it goes. But then it doesn't get to where I want it to be. Yeah. And so I think like there have been some things that have happened over the last couple of weeks, even though it's been like tough and I've been pretty depressed and I haven't been working very much, that like have been really positive. Like I started a container garden just because it's like, I want to like, sick. I like being an outdoorsy person. I want to be like a true outdoorsman. And a part of that is like growing your own things. And like, that's also, I think, going to teach me a lot, because I have to wait a week or 2 or 3 for germination. And then I have to wait another month or couple. And so I have stuff that'll harvest in a month. I have stuff that'll harvest hopefully before I leave. And probably most of it will die. But like, dude, I want to be the person that enjoys the process of that. And so I'm trying to find things that are more process rather than results oriented and dive into them. And it feels so wrong to like who I have been, but it feels right in terms of like who I want to be. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to ask that question because you have like more question marks than ever, you said. Yeah. Like, do you feel like deep down you're telling yourself that's okay? Or do you feel like deep down you're telling yourself like that's not okay? I think I'm like hitting myself over the head and telling myself it's okay. Because it feels like I'm such a contrarian person that like I'm even contrarian to myself, but just like
For sure.
I was thinking like I need to go to an improv class just so I can learn yes and for my life. Like
Yeah.
not even for
Yeah.
like, I don't care about improv at all, but I feel like I want to be someone who's not just always,
Dang.
oh, what are you talking about? Like always contrarian. But I think what you're saying about like, I think it is okay that I have all these questions and I want to figure it out actively rather than letting it figure itself out. Like I want to be an active participant in figuring it out.
For sure.
But a part of that for me is really like always having to constantly remind myself recently, just in my head as I'm like being existential. It's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't feel okay because it's so counter to the way things have been for me. But I think like I just tell myself it's okay and we're figuring it out and we're getting to the next day. And I'm much better about like trying to have stuff be a little better every day rather than like getting to the ultimate goal of like, okay, I want to be a good YouTuber and I want to post this much and I want to like, I have all like, I do have like these smaller goals with all of my hobbies and things that I'm trying to get into. And like, I'm more okay with than ever before of not hitting any of them. Like with my, specifically back on the disc golf stuff, like I still want to get a tour card. Like I still want to make a pro tour finale. Like, yeah, maybe it'd be cool to win, but like, I just want to play and have fun. And like, if I am 930 rated next year, like it's pretty embarrassing for the sake of my channel, but
is it?
Yeah. But in terms of me,
why?
Because I am pretty good at disc golf and I have that reputation online and that's embarrassing. For me, I'm fine with it.
Says who?
Most of the internet. But here's the thing. I'm okay with that, but I don't like the place that I want to be is like, I think pretty objectively it's an embarrassing thing to go from like 990 to 930 rated in a year's time frame. That'd be pretty embarrassing, especially being public, but I don't.
Yeah.
The person that I want to be is the person who like, if that happens, doesn't care about it because I only care about like what I think about myself.
You know what I think is embarrassing?
What's that?
Selling your soul and hating your life. And if it takes going down to 930 rated and you just love life,
yeah,
who the hell cares?
No, I agree with you. It's still embarrassing though.
I don't think
it's embarrassing. I think it can be okay. The thing is, it's okay that it's embarrassing.
To who is it embarrassing though? Like, I don't want to say that it's not okay that it's embarrassing because it can be okay.
And that's all I'm saying.
But
I'm not saying it's embarrassing to me. I think like, I don't know. I guess expectationally, it would be embarrassing.
I think you're putting those you're putting expectations into other people's mouths.
I've never been known to do that in the history of my life ever.
Yeah.
I think you're right on about that. That's one of the things that I think is the biggest that I'm needing to work on in being a public figure who has always had like a public figure is generous, but in being someone who like has cared way too much about their public image and what people think of me because that's the historic, like growing up, that's been very important in like how we grew up.
Yeah. I think
you're right though, unfortunately.
Why is that unfortunate?
Well, because I hate being wrong. I really don't like being wrong. And I'm very good. But I think you're right. Like, definitely you're right.
I just like, I've had these conversations with so many people, including like our sponsored players. And it's like the story we're telling, the things we're doing, like even like Trash Panda, like I know I haven't built the Trash Panda brand on how good I am at disc golf, but like I just don't. Yeah, I guess I don't have that mindset too. The win where you have the like focus on winning more so that maybe it's just us seeing the same coin from different sides and that's okay. But I think it's the only thing that matters is like, I think for a while, the only thing that mattered was the goal that you had. And now the only thing that matters is your family. If all else failed, what's the one thing you don't want to fail?
Definitely.
Right? It's just a shift.
Yeah, I think it's like an ego shed kind of moment. Like
totally.
And I think you're more right than I am about the embarrassment of it. Because even you saying like that you didn't build your brand on that, I think it's almost a difference of like what I perceive, not even what I perceive my brand as, but what I perceived the audience perceived my brand as.
Yeah.
Which is like partially being good, because that was like important to me and I wanted to think of myself as that. And then like all the comments, all the people I'd always meet, it's just like not even a care or like a thought to like most people. And like the people who it would be a thought to, they don't matter.
But what's the definition of good too? 930 rated to 99% of the disc golf world is great. Right?
Yeah.
So like the definition is also,
yeah, I think it'd be different where it's like I wouldn't be happy with it unless it's just because I completely abandoned it. But even then, like I think there's a baseline. I think I would actually be embarrassed if I was 930 rated. Like if I dropped there within a year, because I think that there's like I would have to have such bad decision making or like just get injured. But and this is so outside of the conversation that we're having.
Yeah, no, it's not. I think you're asking the universe to just like do something that's going to make you 930 rated, so you have to deal with this. Because like,
I mean, fine, but like and that's where like if it happens, it happens. And like I'm not there right now, but I'm actively working towards being the person like that's fine for me. Dude, I will make you such a big bet though that I will not be rated next year. But
well, we found your North Star.
No, we did not. No.
It's just never getting to the 930. Yeah.
But I honestly think back to I think one of the analogies that I first heard in the Bible about like how this year is feeling to me and how we've been talking about it, but like the idea of dross. Like I'm not a metallurgist or anything or a blacksmith, but the idea of like you're refining things and then you get this nice metal and then on the top is just all the impurities. And I feel like so much of this year is just like burning through so much that maybe I thought was pure, or maybe it's completely just dross, or maybe like I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm like inside of the furnace right now, inside of like the kiln, and hopefully something good comes out the other side and I am able to distinguish what is like the good and the bad and figure it out. But there's just a lot going on. And I think honestly part of it is like you pushing back on that, like, oh, it's embarrassing or whatever, is something that I need to do better at internally, because I still have a lot of, it's still way more important than it should be what like the outside opinions are of like who I am. So actually like yesterday I wrote down like a bunch of the names of the books that I'm going to be reading on it and like needing to buy them and get them. But I think, I mean, you're right. It's always been important to me, like the approval of other people. Yeah. And I think like that makes for growing on YouTube well, because that is an important part of like getting other people's approval in some sense. But I think it also is kind of why I've stifled in a lot of ways. Cause I just like, I don't like trying to toe any lines, but like, I don't know if I even know who I am without like the approval of the people in a lot of ways. And so I need to like figure that out. Yeah. More so, which is what this whole conversation has been about.
Dude. And we keep talking about time, and I don't even know if you need to answer that. I think time might answer that for you, because the more you're sitting there playing with blocks with your daughter and she's looking at you and she doesn't give a shit about any of that. Yeah. I think the more you're just going to be like you have her approval, period. Right? Full stop, done. Yeah. I think the more that continues to happen, the more you're just going to be like, yeah, it doesn't like, I mean, the YouTube comment section is just like, so it sucks, but like one of the best shifts at Trash Panda was when I stopped reading YouTube comments.
You know what I think why I think this is so much more of an internal problem than even I give it credit for, is because you're right. I don't read comments almost at all for myself, but I have an idea in my head of what the comments are, and it's way more negative than it actually is 100% of the time. If I ever go and read comments, the idea that's in my head is always more negative than what it is. And I think that that's like a poor and like something internal. And I think that you're 100% right, and that's actually very encouraging, because it's just like the constant drip reinforcement of my daughter, and like enough. That is like what's most important, and that is something that's like I do find a lot of value in that, and that is the most important thing. But I think there's so much unlearning, because just growing up, like the big important things to me being like finding approval of other people and then not meeting that out of myself. as just kind of turned into this moment where like it is like having the kid is like that inflection moment. And I do feel like this is at that point. And I also like don't hate where I'm at because I know it's a part of the bigger journey. And so I'm not like kicking myself for it, but I also know that it's not 100% true, because to me, like, I don't know if everyone feels this way, but I have a very high, like, true, false, like right, wrong, like internal meter. And so me saying like, oh yeah, because it would be embarrassing, like I say that as if it is 100% fact for every single person in the entire world, and that's what's in my head. And then you pushing back and Chris pushing back on that with like how he was waving his hands in the air. Like, to me, I'm like, no, you guys are so wrong, you just don't get it. And then like it just takes so much unraveling to like realize that I could be the one that is wrong about it. But there's so much that you just get wrong, and being a parent too, that like there's so much learning that's going on that I'm not worried that this is how I'm going to be forever. But it's like, if there's a way to expedite it, man, I would love to know.
Yeah. I don't know why it feels like it goes right back to the bike ride I was talking about. And it's like, there was a point where I just remember pedaling and like, excuse me, thank you, Liquid Death. Like, Pennsylvania was shockingly hilly. Like, we hit
Alleghenies, baby.
Day one was the Cascades. So we were like climbing immediately.
Wow.
And we had some crazy climbs in there going through like Glacier National Park and stuff like that, or National Forest, whatever. But there were moments in Pennsylvania that was like a taco, where you're going downhill quicker than you've ever gone downhill, and then you're going uphill at the steepest incline you've ever gone up. And like, I can vividly remember being in that, and that's all you feel at the moment. But then now, 10 years removed from that, it's again like a blip on the radar, if that, not even a blip. I feel like we promised this would be a limited podcast of 6 episodes, but I feel like we need to do a 10-year reunion at this point to come back on it, because like so much, it's such an incubator. It's like, it's such a, like, I think ultimately why I'm okay with it is because all I want is to grow. And I think you're there too. And like, it sucks in the moment in some ways, but it's also like, I'm here for this. Like, I want to be this person, because we're all going to go through these things. Whether we respond this way or that way is the question.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think
externally I'm there. Internally, it's still much more, I just want to be there.
Yeah.
The internal's like, I just want to be done. Like, I want to complete it. I want to be done with, not like I don't want to be done with life, but the growth being the goal and the journey is like something that I'm reinforcing within myself, but subconsciously it's just not there.
You're not there yet.
But I think I will be.
Yeah.
And I'm confident in that. But it's like, I think a part of that is being honest that like that's not where it is, because otherwise it'd be easy to just, because I think it has been easy to externalize things and then just like latch onto the externalization rather than actually doing the work inside. Yeah. And so externalizing that's not where I'm at, makes me want to be the place that I want to be.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I've not really thought about how all of your videos were in service of that goal. So now making a video probably feels like more of a drag.
What do you mean?
Just in terms of like because you've taken more breaks than ever before.
Okay, I actually don't know why. So I think you hit on something that is why, and I want to hear you out. So okay. I'm hoping you extrapolate, because I still don't fully understand.
Your videos were all in service of the greater goal, right? Like Bodanza disc golf videos were to be a pro. And you could have been reviewing the new Discmania disc or the new Trashmania disc, but it was in service of being someone who is really good at disc golf and going
showing that
there.
they're good at disc golf.
What?
And showing that they're good at disc golf.
And showing,
I think that's a part of it too.
Is it harder to get out now and film those videos because that goal is not there?
I think what I've noticed in the last little bit, I'll answer that question in a second. I think what you're saying too is the bigger like overarching goal for me, like even over the disc golf side, like that's a big part of my life, and that was like the main thing that I was working towards. But the bigger goal was like being like getting to financial independence, and so a big part of that was like making the videos and making as many. And I loved doing it always, but it was in service of that bigger goal, like you were saying. And I think now that that's like a smaller part of like being financially secure, but not necessarily like racing as fast as I can towards having enough money that I never have to work again, because I want to always work and I want to prove that work ethic to like my daughter, and I like working. Like, I think that's also made it harder, because it was always like, I need to do more faster because I'm trying to get there faster. Yeah. And now it's harder for me to get out. I think this is exactly what you're touching on, because it's like, now I just need to figure out a rhythm instead of like a race. That's almost like a part of it. Yeah. But I think your question being about the in service of the bigger goal, I'm sorry, I should answer that first, but I had a thought and I bulldozed it.
You asking me to remember what I said?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, cue my wife on my shoulder saying I have a bad memory, just reminding me.
Let me remember what it was.
Yeah, I don't.
We can cut this out. I think it was a good point though, but I totally forgot.
We're not cutting anything out.
Oh no.
I had a liquid death burp earlier that they're going to hear. So it just is what it is. I feel like what you have to hear, what I need to say on behalf of your audience, because I am a member of that audience, is we are such fans of you and we want what's best for you. And if what's best for you equals 930 rated, genuinely, we don't give a shit, because we want what's best for you. And whatever you're telling yourself the YouTube comments are going to say about it, it's not real, because dude, well,
all the comments also reflect what you say. When I do read them, they reflect exactly what you just said. But for some reason I still have I think my avatar of the comments is my internal contrarian self. And so that's what I put on the comments. Yeah. And that my internal self has way more context of who I am than my audience, of whom I'm like 20 minutes of 5 days a week. You know, it's like, versus the person that I see in the comments is my negative self, who's always living with me, who's seeing me not work, or seeing me work, or seeing me not put out my best, or seeing me do my best, but it's like, maybe it's not the best topic. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. I really appreciate it. This is like, next episode is going to have to be all about you, brother.
Dude, I'm not looking forward to my therapy session at all.
I'm very looking forward to it.
I think the nice part of this is we're just going to go wherever we go, and that's the plan. So I feel like, I was actually nervous to bring up my ride, because if you had also ridden across the country, we could both look at that 10 years past, right? But like, you didn't have that. So I was nervous to bring it up, because I didn't want to just bring up a version for me. And I'm glad we were able to identify this, because dude, I think it's one of those things that you'll look back on in 10 years and be like, that was the under pressure. Isn't it like diamonds are formed under pressure or whatever? Yeah. Don't quote me on it. Whatever.
I think it's honestly, if we're talking real geology, it's more time under pressure than just like pressure itself. But like, yeah. Which I guess is what this 9-year time period has been that I've been talking about. So there we go.
I am more and more fascinated day by day by these things. Like you mentioned, like growing a garden, like winemaking really fascinates me, because you have a year and a harvest, and if you screw up the harvest, try again next year. Yeah. Like a year from now, not try again tomorrow. Like that's a real, it's so crazy to think about that. And I don't know if it's just like a return to like human nature, but I feel like that's how we were. And life now is just so much faster.
Yeah.
And
I think we evolved under significantly less, like a significantly longer time constraints. Like everything being minute to minute changing is just like, I think so physiologically new that it's like almost hard to adapt to.
Yeah. Well,
I I really wish I remember that question that you asked.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was about my channel, and it was more about like my channel and the like being a pro and stuff being in service of that. But I just totally.
I think I was just asking about like. Yeah, here we go. I don't remember. I feel like it was more just like, are you feeling this depression as far as like professionally because of that? Because almost all the videos were able to be pointing to that thing, and now you're not pointing to that thing.
Yeah. Oh, it was about like, I remember a little bit more. It was about like, is it harder for me to get out because the videos were like doing that, and now I'm not wanting to like film as much? And I think, yes, I do remember what I was going to say. Thank goodness. I think what's been happening over the last couple months, specifically in like this month recently, is the getting up and doing it has been much harder. But when I'm actually doing it, I'm realizing, oh, this is what I'm enjoying and doing. So like yesterday I made a video. I went out and filmed it, and then I edited it and put it up. And like, it felt much more freeing because now it's not important to me whether I'm perceived as good or not, and like, or not as important. And I just care about like enjoying it and doing something that I'm liking, because I know that like, thankfully people will watch and like they're interested. And I also know that like, if they're not, I trust myself to like, okay, I'll pivot and do something else and like make sure my family is good. But right now this is what's doing it, and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm hoping it stays that way forever, or at least for a long time.
That was a big question I had, was like, are you enjoying it? Like, what are you enjoying?
Yeah, I think I'm such a cerebral person, and I'm thinking about these things, and I get tired, and then it's so much easier for me to just like go on my laptop, and then the YouTube algorithms just sucks me in for 6 hours. But I don't enjoy it. It just is something that passes the time.
Yeah.
But if I go out and I film, and I sit down in my editor and I make a video, like, I'm really loving those times.
Yeah.
Because that is what I love to do. But it's just not as easy. And this is like the big crux of ADHD, is it takes significantly more dopamine to get started doing stuff.
Yeah.
And so like, I honestly debated, and I think honestly, if it wasn't so expensive, I'd probably get a refill. But I have some Adderall from like a year ago that I just like, I stopped taking Adderall like maybe in September last year or something. And I didn't like how it depressed some parts of me, but I also think like there's a place for it in me maintaining something. Not always necessarily, but like, man, it's a really hard day for me to get off the couch. Like, that's literally just what it does. It just like gives you dopamine, and then now I can be productive. Yeah, and so like, I think a part of that is that. I think another part of it is like, one of the things I realized is I went and worked out like right after I like handed off Sylvia to my wife, because we were just like switching so I could work, and then I just like worked out, and like that also gives you dopamine. So if I can find the motivation to do that, or like build a habit, like I'd love to build those habits. But I also like, there's a lot of great stuff from today that's like, if that can help me, like, because it's medicinal, if that can help me to like start while I build these habits, like I don't want to use anything as a crutch. But it's also like, sometimes you're injured and you need a crutch, because like right now I would not say that mentally I'm in a healthy spot 100%, especially like in this area of like getting up and doing stuff and being productive. And so like, it's like actually it's like a good crutch. Like crutches aren't always bad.
I have never thought about that. How the saying is like, about like, don't use it as a crutch. It's like, what are crutches? Like, they're a necessary thing at points in life. I've actually never registered that. I love when a certain saying just like hits you different. And that's a great point. Like, don't use it, or like, it's a tool.
If I'm fully good, don't use it as a crutch, because I don't need it. Like, I'm slowing myself down using it as a crutch. But right now, like, if I'm kind of limping to get started doing stuff, like, take a half tab of Adderall and I'll be like fine. Like, it's something that like I've thought about doing it, but I just haven't done it. And I probably would be better off now if I had done it 6 different strategic times throughout the last month or so. And because like, it is habit building. Like, I will realize, like, every time I go and like, I filmed yesterday and I edited and got something up, and it's like, okay, I actually want to go film today now, because like, when you do things that are enjoyable or that like are productive, like your brain and your body wants to do it again. And so that's kind of, I'm trying to, the impetus was just not there, because like you were exactly like you were saying, the North Star, like that's why I would get out and do it, because financial independence and trying to get better at disc golf and do good. And so that impetus isn't there anymore in the same way, but it's something that I want to continuously do because I love doing it. And there doesn't have to be like this big overarching reason for me to go and do it. I can just do it. And that's never something that's always been like what's the most productive or the most blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I think I'm trying to get away from the superlatives and like, okay, this has to be the best or the worst or the most or the least. It's just like, is it like almost like better, not best kind of like that ideology towards everything, I think will lead to, because it'll lead to better outcomes as well, because ultimately if you do something decent over a long period of time, you beat out the person who does something great only some of the time. Almost always. Like if I have sporadic moments where I'm like, if I post like basically this month in July, hopefully this pans out from today or from yesterday on, including 3 days ago, I'll post daily videos through the end of July. And so I'll probably make as much money as I normally do if I just post 4 or 5 videos a week, but instead I'm gonna have to sprint at the end of this. And so if that person who only posts 4 or 5 videos a week has 2 weeks where or 2 weeks where I post 6 videos, I will make a lot more money than I did this month. And so it's just like the consistency over a long term will do better. And I just need to hear that, and I need to experience that in most parts of life, because I haven't experienced it because I've always been a sprint guy. And so those experiences just aren't there.
Did I talk about that on the last episode?
I don't think so.
Turtle wins the race.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little.
I'm just like so convinced the turtle wins the race, and maybe it's confirmation bias, and everything I look at, I'm just like proof. But it's like,
I've always heard that story, and like my subconscious has never believed it, but it's true.
Yeah. It's like small action over time. That's interesting too, because I think growing up I'm similar. I think I never believed it. I was like, okay, yeah, but he's faster. Yeah. So obviously the faster one won.
Yeah, because he could just do it. In my brain, it's always like, Threv's just freaking lazy, dude. He got close and then he just didn't finish the job. And then I never recognized that pattern in myself, where it's like I would just sprint and then just stop, and sprint and then stop, and then just get lapped by the guy who just was consistent.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I think that if I've learned one thing at Trash Panda so far, it's just time. And maybe it's the books I read, maybe it's the problems we run into and we solve. And like, I mean, dude, a year ago we didn't have 2 machines. A year and a half ago we were just getting our first machine. 2 years ago we were an entirely different looking company. Like, and that's just 2 years. Yeah. That's not even the 5 we've been here. And I look back on it and it's like, it's just consistently showing up day after day and solving the next problem and the next problem. I heard a quote there, or I read a quote that was, being an entrepreneur means moving from one problem to the next with enthusiasm. I feel like the enthusiasm part is hard, but like, what I tell the team all the time, like, you know what our reward is for solving this problem? What's waiting for us on the other side of this problem? Another problem. Like that's what comes next. Yeah. But I think that's life. And that makes it like, worth it,
Yeah. I think you're right. I think the black and white has always made it hard for me to accept that. Because I'm always like, no, I can finish life. Oh no, I can make sure there's no more problems. And it's like, that's kind of what like my stupid subconscious believed, not necessarily experientially or like logically what I would believe. Like I would say that I agree with that, but I don't think that that's been like ingrained inside of my subconscious, that like, the next thing is gonna not be easy. And like that's what parenthood has honestly taught me a lot of. Yeah. Because like it's just the next, like, she's waking up at 7. Yeah. Are you going to be up at 3 like I was last night and having to get up with her at 7 and screwing yourself over? Or are you going to go to bed? Like, and those are like,
you were up till 3.
Oh, yeah, man. And like that's like those are the problems. It's like I went to bed at 3:30, woke up at 6:50 to watch my daughter this morning. And it's like those are the things where it's like that's because I think that mindset that I have is a little broken, where it's like, no, I can fix it, or it's like you can get to the next stage. It's not necessarily like, okay, like let's make sure. I heard this all came together in my head, and it was 15 steps, and now it's going to sound completely disjunct. But there's a guy called Healthy Gamer on YouTube. He's a psychiatrist, and he was also a monk. But one of the things that he talks about is like tomorrow doesn't exist. only today exists, because like your present self has to set things up for tomorrow, because I would always be like, oh, tomorrow we'll figure it out. Like that's how I've lived my life, probably all my life, versus like, how can I make today the best and also set myself up so that tomorrow is also the best, which is why I've always been like, oh, I'm gonna get ahead on videos, and I've never gotten ahead on videos ever besides like one video. And I have 5 videos in the chamber to edit right now, and it would take me 10 hours to edit all the videos. That's one work day if I really sit down and do it. But like historically I would do that, and then I would still procrastinate to the point where 5 videos would take 10 days. And so I think
then
like
you'd be back to the same point.
Yeah. And like living, like I've always lived, it's similar to what we talked about earlier, like at that point in the future time. That's always kind of where my brain has been, instead of actually trying to be present. And like I've been obviously more forced to be present if I want to actually be a good parent who's not aloof in the head with my daughter. And it's like forced me to rethink how I'm doing a lot of other things, because I don't also want to be on my phone if she's around, or like I don't want her to be that way. And so I have to change that if that's who I want to raise her to be, because otherwise it'd be obviously hypocritical, but also it'd be impossible to teach her if I don't know how to do it. Yeah. So I think, it's just this is an interesting time for me. Yeah. And there's so much that is being learned and relearned and like shed away that I think is right and good, but my inner child and my like subconscious and all these things are like just trying to hold on for dear life. Yeah. Cause I'm a very stubborn person, and it's, but I know I'll beat him. I'll beat him, but
there's the winner. There he is.
Well, it's about no, honestly, me saying that is about being the tortoise who does the little things over time. Yeah. It's not about like, oh, I just want to win over them. It's like, no, these are things that like can be meted out. Like I have a growth mindset. I believe it can happen. And like, I want to do the little things day by day so that hopefully a year from now, this is the case, maybe shorter, but like I think the best part of it is genuinely, I can't give you a time frame. Like I would hope it's next week. I would hope it's next month that I figure this out. But I think because I can't give a time frame, it shows that I'm moving closer to that mindset, because otherwise it'd be like, oh no, I want to be this person by the time we move, or by this time. It's like, I don't know. And that means I'm actually doing the work of going through the process rather than just like setting an arbitrary goal and then either hitting it or missing it. And then my whole emotions are jacked up because of that.
Yeah, dude, you're in it.
Yep. Next week is you, man.
Next month.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Yeah. We don't got time for that.
Well, no, next week for them.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Once the pod comes out. Yeah. I mean, dude, this is a perfect example of being present. Yeah. Because like, how many times have you thought about this being anything more than a conversation between us, like we used to go out? Yeah. Like it genuinely just feels like that.
No, it does.
Happen to have microphones. Yeah. Happen to have some liquid death.
No.
Not brought to you by frame.io. But,
or Fat Tire.
Yeah. But like I think that's there's something beautiful about it. I get the head and the heart tension though, of like, I know it's good, I don't feel like it's good though. And that's just like, that's why I think I keep saying like time just heals that, you know?
Yeah. Being such a logical based person too, or like a intellectual person, you just think that your heart will catch up, and that's just not how it works. You actually have to work on the heart. I can't just always be living in like the intellect of it, which is I prefer living in like the logical intellectual space of it.
Dude, same.
And it's just like the heart just doesn't catch up. You actually have to do the work to do it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the work is done by time if you're in the right situation, which I am, which is why everything is so crazy right now. Because I think you can live in the intellect forever, but I don't think it would result in the best version of yourself.
Who will you be a month from now?
We'll find out in a month. I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think?
It's so fuzzy because I want to say.
Wait, like a year ago, if I asked you that question, you'd have an answer, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like a perfect answer.
Yeah,
and it would be that.
Yeah, and I would maybe get to be that, but I would also. It's also very easy for me to say something and then think that saying it does it, and then you just don't worry about it at all. So I'd rather just worry about like the smaller things and figure out what that becomes. Because I think who I want to be also has slightly changed and morphed over
For sure.
this time as well. And so I don't even know if I want to be the same person that I want to be right now. And I think, and this is like, honestly, one of the first times ever this conversation where I've trusted that future me will be more right than me right now. Because I always want to and think that I am right. And not always. Like, I know that there are things that I don't know and that I can be wrong. But, like, on balance, I try to say and do things that I think are right and good.
Yeah.
And I've always thought that, like, that was almost like a full stop. It's like everything. It's like a black and white thing. But right now, even in this conversation, I felt for the first time that's, like, I might want to be different in a month. And before that would, like, be scary because it's like, no, like, I'm right now about who I want to be. Yeah. But for the first time, I'm like, no, I'll probably be right then. And that's like a cool moment of growth even for me, like right now to have in this conversation. Cause I'm like, no, I do trust that I'll get it right.
Yeah.
And
it probably wouldn't be something you could predict beforehand.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't be. Yeah. There's a book called Range, and he talks about like making decisions, and especially in like a work sense, like a career sense. Yeah. And he talked about how like it was, you know, the mindset of like, I have all like there's a right answer and there's a wrong answer. There's a right career decision and a wrong decision. And he talked about how it was just like maybe more beneficial to be thinking like, take all the data you have, take what you want to do, and take what makes sense to me right now. And like maybe make a decision from that context. And don't quote me on that. That's a paraphrase. But like the thing that was most interesting to me was like what makes the most sense right now. Because what makes the most sense right now might not be the same thing tomorrow, and it might not have been the same thing yesterday, but tomorrow doesn't exist. So,
yeah,
what makes sense right now?
Yeah, that's another concept that we probably don't have time to delve fully into, but I've really been thinking over the last couple of weeks that this is not necessarily universal, but in most things that affect my day to day, thinking about things as right and wrong is more detrimental than it is good, because it puts it into boxes that is hard to take it away from. Because most of the time I've seen this in like just internet discourse being a little more terminally online than I'd want to be, but also just in how I think about things and how I even speak about them, which is why I'm hoping to change this language in my disc reviews to be like, oh, this is the best, or this disc is like more giving like factual things with a little bit of like not as like hyperbolic like ideas. Titles and thumbnails probably will still do that because that gets clicks, but like in the video itself, not as much. But I think like right and wrong is almost more difficult or more bad, or not even necessarily bad. I'm not trying to say bad, good, right, wrong, because those are just like categories that leave little room for nuance, because most people have an idea in their head of like, this thing is good or is right or is wrong or is bad. And then that fits it there. And then there's no like the why. I think asking the question of like why, or like questioning before assigning value rather than assigning value and then questioning. It's like, oh, that's wrong. Why would you think that? Versus like, why do you think that? And then like you could still assign value to it, but I'm trying to get away from that because I think about that a lot in myself. Like I think, oh, this is a good thing about me. This is a bad thing about me, versus like, what do I like about this and what do I not like about this? And I think about that about like external things obviously as well.
I'll bring us home with a quote from the great scholar Howie Mandel, who I've never listened to except for one podcast one time, and it was because he had Rhett and Link on his podcast. Okay. And I love those guys. And so I listened to this podcast, and I'll never forget this. I'll probably forget this, but at the moment, I don't think I'll forget this. He said they were talking about the definition of old. Like, what's the definition of becoming old? And he had a quote that was basically, his definition of old is when you stop being curious. I think that's such a real, like, I've got so many people in my life who just shut the doors and stopped growing and stopped learning and stopped being open to new ideas. And the fact that you can be curious and always learn, like maybe you can get to a certain point in life where you never get old under that definition, right? Mm-hmm. Which would be pretty cool. Yeah. Which means it's all about the process. Yeah. Which means this whole thing we're in, it just never ends. Yeah. Till it ends abruptly. So. Yeah. Abrupt ending to this episode.